Hi, I'm John.
This is Nick.
And I'm Andrew.
Welcome, everybody, to JNA Podcast. This is episode 2. Hope everybody is staying safe out there during this pandemic. We wanted to make this podcast, or this episode rather, regarding what we like to do hobby-wise and things that we're doing during the shutdown. So I want to start this by going with John. John, what are you doing during the shutdown, sir?
Same thing I do pretty much any other time I've got a bunch of free time. Playing video games.
Okay. Is there a particular game that you're on now?
I'm presently playing, a fun title here, The Magic Fetus with Norman Reedus, a.k.a. Death Stranding.
AKA the FedEx simulator.
More or less.
I'm kind of scared what kind of game this is, but please enlighten the audience on what kind of game this is.
This is a game made by you guys are probably, or plenty of people have probably heard of the Metal Gear series. Long story short, the creator of the Metal Gear series got fired from his company, so he got signed up with some new folks, made this game. It is arty and pretentious.
It sounds like you're not being honest with your opinion there, John. And do you mean to say that it's shitty and you just can't enjoy it for the money you spent? Is that what you mean?
If I had to kind of describe it, it's like like the moment-to-moment gameplay is a less fun Breath of the Wild, but it's got a much better plot. Although everybody cries.
You're implying that Breath of the Wild's got a shitty plot. We both know it doesn't, buddy.
Breath of the Wild's plot isn't shitty, but it's basic. Like, okay, you are the hero, go save the princess.
Doesn't make it shitty. That's any Zelda game ever been made. It's like basically saying a Mario game's not about saving the princess. I
know. That's like I said, it's basic. It doesn't have, complicated emotions or a deep narrative or anything. That's it. You are Sir Link Esquire. Go save the princess. Kill a pig demon.
Okay.
I got turned off from the game immediately as soon as I watched the gameplay on it on YouTube, and I seen the guy was pretty much doing anything that a FedEx delivery does without the truck. Just like walking across platforms. Yeah, just walking across platforms, delivering packages. Like, if I wanted to do that, I would signed up with FedEx. Like, I'm not down with that.
So
I'm not gonna lie. I got turned off just by the title.
I didn't even notice that, Nick. That is hilarious. He said Death Stranding. Like, death is just stranding.
But stranding death.
My hobbies as of now, I still actually am working. I work from home. I work in phone sales, so I work over the telephone 11 hours a day, so it doesn't really bother me when it comes to my lack of work because I'm still working full time. I play some video games, watching some TV. Nothing really changed in my life because I don't really go out anywhere too much. I really don't like too many people, I should say, with how greedy they are most of the time. And, well, I just like to keep to myself, and me and the family kind of chill out and do our own thing. What about you,
Nick, I think it's safe to say you should state that you're still able to do your hobby, which is what?
My hobby? Well, I like playing golf, but I can't do that. That's the only thing I can't do. Other than that, work, watch movies, watch TV, hang out with the family. That's really my hobbies at this time. And, there's a couple others. Not that I do on a consistent basis, I should say, other than golf.
Yeah. But pretty much, man, for me, myself, it's pretty much about this in between these two guys. Actually, I shouldn't even say this. Not in between these two guys. It's pretty much what I usually do, which is play video games. Who am I joking? That's basically what I've been doing, and what I've been thinking into is Neo 2, and for some reason, I just can't turn the fucker off. I just keep getting into it. Nick keeps walking into my room, looking right at the TV, and he's like, "You're still playing this game?" And I have nothing else to tell him besides, yeah. Can't help myself, man. I love the game. Love it.
I actually, well, we both got Neo 2 more or less within a couple days of each other. And I think the final time on my save file was about 140 hours or so.
I am at right now. I did my first playthrough. I put around about 25, 30 hours into it, and I felt like I was doing that playthrough wrong. I felt like I was putting my stats in wrong areas. I shouldn't have been putting them in, so I restarted the game. And I beat the game on that playthrough, and it took me 65 hours to do so. Now I'm on my second playthrough through it, and I think about 20 hours in. So I think me, you, and John are right about even.
Yeah, probably about.
You did an NG plus run, and I did not.
Yeah.
But
Okay,
I
so
am trying
basically,
to just so the fans know. I'm not saying that we have fans. I'm just saying that people are listening. I am trying to talk my friend John into doing a DS or a Dark Souls run or a Bloodborne run through with me while we're in quarantine. So I am trying to do that.
hmm. So in other words, everybody, we're a bunch of lame asses that don't do much anyway, so the shutdown is obviously not affecting us too much.
Stay home, basic bitches.
Basically.
Hey, I am anything but basic. I do
You
a
a
lot of
basic
different
bitch.
things, and hey, like my feelings count in this podcast. Never mind, no, they don't. I usually like to go play golf with Nick when I do have my money priority straight. It's just with this pandemic going on, man. Like money and everything's just like really tight. You know what I mean? Like I'm not able to like freely leave my house like I'm used to. So video games has pretty much been my go-to right now.
Okay, so the game I'm on now has nothing to do about the games that they were doing. Mine's probably more interesting than theirs. I am actually on Resident Evil 7 right now. They've already played it, or I think John
Yeah.
has it.
I
Go
haven't,
game.
no.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, it's a good game
I
so
do.
far. I'm still in the beginning stages. I only got probably about 4 or 5 hours into it. I just started playing it last weekend, but it's pretty good
Okay,
so far.
what do you think of it so far, Nick?
It's pretty cool, man. It's got some, some suspense to it. The game, the one thing I don't like about it is the amount of ammo that you don't get, or I should say, the lack of ammo you don't get, because you don't get much at all.
I would like to point out that you are only 4 or 5 hours into it. Like, I personally finished that game more than once, and the more your hours you get into it, your ammo kind of opens up a little bit more, but not that much. It's kind of right along the same guidelines of Last of Us when it comes to ammo. You don't necessarily get overstocked, but at the same time, you get enough to complete the game.
Okay. Yeah, well, I'm still new to it, so I don't have too much of an opinion on it. I mean, so we'll see how it goes. I plan on playing it this weekend. And by the way, I don't play as much video games as these guys. Everyone they play, night and day. I'm usually like a week warrior.
Now,
It's usually
for
how I
now,
play.
but as soon as a game like The Last of Us 2 comes out, that's going to completely change. I guarantee you that, people.
Yes, I will play that pretty much, until I beat it, and then once that's done, then I'll go back to a weekend warrior.
Nick, when it comes to Nick, people, like the biggest thing with him is like he's like kind of like me, and he's just got like a lot of interest in a lot of different things. And one of them that like really does take up a lot of his time that he has not mentioned on this podcast a lot is golf. Like my brother is not only really into golf, but he's pretty damn good at it too. Especially for somebody that's just picked it up.
Yeah, I'm getting better. I am. I play with a lot of. I usually go out by myself, but they always join me up with a different group, and I play with a lot of different people. And some people are really good that kind of give me tips and things to improve on. So I am getting pretty good at it. That's for sure. I am.
Yeah, a lot better than me. That's for damn sure.
It's a game. It's a humbling game. Here's one thing about golf you got to know: that it's not a game that you can have natural talent for and think that you're going to do good. It's not like playing basketball where you step up to a three-point line, you throw a ball at a hoop, and it goes in. You're like, hell yeah, I'm pretty good. It doesn't work that way. No, you got to practice. You got to play. If you don't play, you're out of rhythm, and it just doesn't work that well for you. So
That's very well said, Nick. That really is. That's because it's 100% true. It really
Everything
is.
is a muscle. The more
Yep.
you do
Yeah.
it, the more you get better at it. And if you stop doing it, you get weaker at it.
muscle memory is definitely for that game. That's for sure.
And you'd be
It's not
surprised.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, John.
No, it's not just the muscle memory in the sense of what your body gets used to, but also in the sense of uh, well, a bit of neuroscience here. You are what the brain does. So the more you play golf, the more your brain gets oriented to golf.
For sure. Yes,
Well, I
absolutely. I
think
mean,
that's
it's a lot of it's hand-eye coordination as well. I mean, you gotta once you understand the mechanics of it, it's just all the same, and you just got to keep doing the same thing over and over again. When it comes to the swing mechanic, because as soon as you start changing that up, is when all hell breaks loose. Because there's nothing worse. I tell you right now, nothing worse than missing the ball.
it feels like you're gonna fucking die.
That was a Robin Williams reference, everybody. If you didn't know, he was on a stand-up comedy that Robin Williams made. God rest in peace, Robin Williams.
Now I'm going to tell everybody that's listening to this right now, if they didn't understand that reference, you need to go watch Rob Williams stand up because you're missing fucking education.
That is a good one. That is a good one. But yeah, this not only does it piss you off like to the core, but it's also just flat embarrassing. I mean, if you're playing with other people, oh, just forget about it. You might as well just go home because they're not going to let you live it down. Not going to let you live it. Doesn't
There's
work.
like a bunch of muscle memory when it comes to it, and when you say something like muscle memory, it makes you think that if you've done it 100 times, that you can do it the 101st time. And that when it comes to golf, that's just not the case. Like I can go up. I played every single sport, damn near when it comes to Americans, like all my life. When it comes to football, basketball, like even baseball, like when it comes to throwing, like that is legit muscle memory, and I could throw my ass off. I can catch my ass off. All right. Now, when it comes to golf, I have legit done the same swing probably 1,000 times. But if I'm not concentrating on that 1,001st try, I'm gonna miss that try. That is the thing with golf. Like it is like legit mind fuck that like you wouldn't really get unless you actually go out on the course and try it.
It's definitely recommended for people to go play because not only is it a game where you're away from society, as if of course you're playing with a couple friends, but
Excuse me.
it's also very peaceful. You go out there, you have a couple of drinks, you smoke a couple of joints out there on the course, and it's a few hour round. It's 3-4 hours on average, depending on how many people you're playing with and how good or bad they are. But it's definitely good scenery. Some courses are just beautiful. They're nature reserves and ocean views, and it's a really good experience. Not even if you're just not good at the game, but if you're just picking it up or you're really good at the game, it's just a good experience going out there and swinging the club and having fun. That's what it's really about.
Especially when you're on a good course that's out there and has the wilderness and like the ponds and has the wildlife roaming about. You know what I mean? It does have like its own feel to it. Like it feels like you're outside. Being like one with nature, as corny as that sounds.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's definitely a good experience. And again, whether you play it a lot or you don't play it at all, it's even if you're just going out to drive the golf cart, it's really good scenery, really good company, especially if you're out there with friends, obviously. But yeah, it's just and especially golf is they call it a gentleman's game. Mm-hmm. Even though you do get your hotheads out there that like to throw the clubs around when they miss, Andrew. No.
Fuck yeah, man. Hold up. This shit goes both ways.
It does go both ways. I do get hot-headed every once in a while, but all in all, everybody's pretty courteous. If you're going faster than the ones in front of you, they let you go, let you go ahead. It's pretty
I will reiterate on what Nick just said. It really is a gentleman's game, man. Like, I've been on many courses. I've not even played golf that much, but on the courses I have been on, everybody is pretty much 90% friendly.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like the people really are. Me and Nick have even teamed up with people to go play holes, and one of them been a caddy, and another one of them been a caddy's friend. We're playing golf their entire life, and like me and Nick played like shit. And these people are like, hey man, like I know it's kind of hard to do, but if you just stop picking your head up, you're gonna start hitting that ball better. And like sure enough, you stop picking your head up, you're hitting the ball better.
Mm-hmm.
And it really is. Like, it sounds really corny when you say it, but when you say a gentleman's game, like, people are very friendly when you go out on that golf course. Like, they generally look after each other.
They are. So, John, let me ask you, have you ever won a golf club in your life?
At a golf ball? No.
Okay.
Hold on. We gotta appreciate that one. Right? He said on
I
a
don't know
golf
if I
ball.
want you to.
Dude,
I
can we
don't know if you
bring up
want
the
to.
conversation without incriminating you criminally?
I was just about to say, I don't know if we want you to admit to a felony right now, but please let us know what you mean by that, John.
This is not something you're going to use in Macomb County Court, right?
I plead the fifth.
I'm sure you do, buddy.
Let's just say I was in a
Hold on.
situation that was not immediately conducive to my immediate prolonging of my own life. There was a golf club in reach. I think it was like a 9-wood or something. I don't know. I didn't look at it. All I know is that
Ninewood.
Mickey's just making shit up now. He said 9-wood.
Yeah.
I don't know golf clubs. All I know is that it's a stick and there's a ball of like head thingy on the
God,
end.
stop that 3-wood.
And
You're
so,
6 woods off.
Okay,
Well,
3-wood, whatever.
it actually doesn't stop at 3-wood. You can actually go all the way down to 4 woods. You can go to a 5-wood.
Oh,
And they
shit, I stand corrected.
They do make like hybrids that kind of resemble a wood for people that don't know golf clubs very well. So you can kind of confuse a 9 hybrid to a 9 wood, I guess, but I know there's no such thing as a 9 wood. I know that. And please, correct me if I'm wrong if you've heard of that before, because I haven't.
I will personally say that I have known John my entire life, and if John really did want to play golf and really get good at it, I think the golf world would be pretty scared. Like he's a pretty determined motherfucker, but at the same time, I'd actually be curious how John would do at golf because he also gets irritated kind of easily sometimes. So
it's
maybe one time.
It's a humbling game.
What's that, Nick?
I said it's a humbling game. That's for sure. It will humble you.
Jesus Christ, Jeff. John, I will say this. I hit platinum Dark Souls. I have damn near platinum DS3 along with Bloodborne right on the inches doing. Maybe I will do them one day. But golf is 10 times harder than any of the Soulboards games I've ever played.
Yeah. Well, any physical sport is going to have a difficulty spike. I mean, speaking in game terms, yes, but there's going to be a difficulty spike there just because you cannot guarantee, and this goes back to what Nick was saying, you cannot guarantee consistency. Like in Dark Souls, I hit the attack button, the same attack comes out every goddamn time. Every goddamn time. Now, I take a swing with a baseball bat or something, the amount of force I'm going to be able to generate, where I'm aiming specifically, that's always going to change. And granted, when you get to professional levels or even just being good, the window of variance closes, but that's it. The biggest thing is that's it. You can't guarantee the same exact thing every single time.
Well, that's the beauty thing about golf, though. That is one of the beautiful things about when it comes to golf. There is no other player. There is you. It's just like when you're playing a Soulsborne game, man. Like, of course, you can summon other people to help you in Soulsborne games, but let's be realistic. Is that just as satisfying?
No, I was about to say, why would I summon anybody? You're acting like I'm a fucking casual.
Exactly. It's more satisfying when you do it on your own. Now, when it comes to the Soulsborne games, you're right. There is like certain things that you can expect. Enemies takes a swing at you, you can roll. There you go. That's what you get. Now, in golf, you get this muscle memory thing that we were just talking about just a minute ago. It sounds simple, but I'm promising you that it is 10 times more complicated than it actually sounds. Nick can vouch for me on this. Just keeping your head down is a mind fuck.
Well, I would like to point out there is a difference between simple and easy. Simple is very hard to do. Easy is not.
I agree.
Describe golf.
I will say this. If there is a sport, just in case nobody knows, which I'm sure they don't, even though we kind of touched base on this in our introduction, John is not the athletic guy. He doesn't play sports very well. Not that I've ever known for him to play sports, I should say. However, if there was a sport that you would probably be good at, John, I do believe it would be golf.
I concur, Nick.
Just saying.
And if there was a sport that John would get into, I think it would be golf. Maybe pool. Maybe pool could be another one that Jack gets into, but just because it does become like pool seems simple, just like golf, but it become complicated and one of the techniques that you have to learn to like practice and master it. But I agree with you, Nick, 100%. I think that golf's a sport that John would 100% get into if he tried.
Yeah.
Well, there.
Hey,
Hmm?
Go ahead, John.
Oh, there are a couple of sports that I've gotten into, but it's not something I really ever kept up on. I did do foil fencing for a while, and I also uh,
Really?
I've dipped my fingers into enough martial arts from a like a theoretical and reading manuals perspective that if my physicality was better, I could probably do pretty good at MMA.
Martial arts is something I definitely think we should have a future podcast on because I plan on in the future getting into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and maybe a little bit of kickboxing, but that's something that we should definitely do a full circle into. But I didn't know you did fencing.
I did it for a little bit. It's not something I really kept up with. Like I have a bit of a, let's call it philosophy. I don't enjoy sports that only play at violence. Like case in point,
Sports.
boxing. People would like to say that boxing is a violent sport. I disagree because
Oh,
there are a lot of rules and limitations, and those
it's a fucking art
limitations, in
form.
my opinion, are pretty arbitrary. Like, okay, you can only use the fists. Look at any Chinese martial art from the north, I believe it is. It's all, or yeah, northern fist, southern kick. It's all mostly hand techniques with only a few kicks. So, like, you're playing at violence.
You're preaching to the choir on that one, dude. You really are. Boxing is a fucking art form. And anybody that says it's not an art form has never been in a fucking boxing match with somebody that can actually box.
Well, I would argue anything can be
Um,
elevated to high art if, with enough practice.
Fucking when it comes to professionally, there is an absolute reason why people like Conor McGregor that I don't want to say mastered MMA, but like, come on, he got damn pretty close, and he stepped in with Floyd Mayweather and got his ass handed to him.
Oh, yeah,
I'll
they're
give
definitely.
Conor McGregor. Hold up. I'll give Conor McGregor one thing. He did land shots on Floyd Mayweather, and there is professional boxers that practice their entire lives trying to land shots on Floyd Mayweather and could not do it. Floyd Mayweather is probably the greatest defensive boxer that's ever existed, and Conor McGregor did land some shots on him, but he still got his ass handed to him. And the guy's a mixed martial arts expert. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to striking. And if his last match, Cowboy Cerrone did not show that. I don't know what is. You know, when it comes to striking, the guy's just a fucking pure genius in MMA. But he couldn't step in the fucking boxing ring, go hand to hand against fucking Floyd Mayweather like that. That shows you how much of a hierarchy that boxing really has. It's a fucking art form. You know what I mean?
It is. I definitely agree. I mean, and to kind of agree to what John was saying, I mean, any kind of sports, or I'm not going to say activity to that matter, but any kind of craft, call it, you can kind of label it as art. Because there is some kind of technique or something that you can master to have an advantage over another. I would say.
I agree, Nick. 100%.
This is slightly philosophical, but there is a certain grace to just watching someone do something well. I guess case in point, when I used to work in a factory, the parts that we used to make, we were the only people who worked on that line, so this was something we were doing literally 600 times a day. And we got to the point where, all of our movement just looked so easy and so effortless that, in a certain light, there was a kind of beauty or grace to it. And I understand that I'm sounding like a complete crazy person right now, but hey, I am, so go figure. But like anything refined down to that much can be just enjoyable to watch. And the same goes for pretty much anything.
Once you know it enough, that's the point. Like, once you've experienced it and you know it enough, it becomes it becomes like an art. It just becomes like Bruce Lee used to say. He's like, be like water.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Like water, like water doesn't cut against the glass it gets filled into. It just fills the glass. You know what I mean? Like, once you get down to where you've done it so many fucking times, it just becomes an art form. You know what I mean? And like we were talking about muscle memory. Like these guys that do mixed martial arts, these guys do this shit fucking 6, 8, 10 hours a day, man. Like, you can name me a knockout that you've seen or a submission or so on and so forth. That submission or that knockout, that guy is practiced. Probably as much hours I've put into just 5 video games. You know what I mean? Like you literally, like the way you put it, John, I think it was beautifully said. Like you guys are sitting there and you guys are like doing this motion throughout the day, but once you do it like 500-600 times, it just becomes like a fluidity to it. Like it just becomes an art form. You know what I mean? I think that was beautifully said, and I think it's 100% true. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and actually relating to this, because since we're all talking about hobbies and interests, I do know that all of us have a vested interest in music, and I'm gonna say something that might be controversial, but like Eminem is the greatest rapper of all time, and it's just you can when you listen to his music, the way he organizes his raps, the way he does his beats, the musicality of it in general, you can tell this is coming from a place of just sheer mastery and unmatched experience. I don't care how many people have been in the game who have even been in the game longer than him. Like the motherfucker knows what he's doing when it comes to just making good rap.
I agree. And I want to throw this out there, and I think I said this on the last. Music is it's like art. People feel it differently, and to say that he is the best rapper, although I agree in my perspective, I 100% do. I would classify him better as the best lyricist. I would say that's a better way to classify him more rap. When to say rapper, it all depends on what kind of rapper you're talking about. You got gangster rap, you got the modern hip hop. I mean, you got many different type of styles of rap, so it's hard to classify.
Really have to look at it to how you would break it down. Okay, like I have been listening to rap as far as I've been alive. Like my aunt could even vouch for me. I was like 4 years old, bobbing my head to Gangsta's Paradise. I've always loved rap. When it comes to rap, you're absolutely right, Nick. There is a lot of different topics when it comes to rap, and there's a lot of different like rappers that have like just that it factor when it comes to it. Like Tupac, Biggie, like you even got Big L, which nobody even really know about. But what John's trying to say is that when it comes to just rap music in every versatile kind of thing M has done. Like M has done like slow rap, but telling you a story, even being kind of gangster at the same time. With his Marshall Mathers LP. Then he went to Eminem show to where he wants to like spit about like his life and like obviously the controversy with his mom. And now this guy's just like completely taking up like a twist of like Bone Thugs and Harmony rap style, and it's fucking killed it. Like Jesus Christ! When I first heard fucking Godzilla, I swear to God, I was like, I don't know anybody that can rap like that. I was like, dude, who can rap that fast, but still have like the rhythm and still have the vocabulary like that? Like you have Twista and you have Bone Thugs, and like don't get me wrong, they can rap fast, but it was always like cat in the hat rhymes, and like M's rhyming words that fast, the words that you didn't even know they could rhyme.
I'm gonna say this, and this may be controversial, whatever, but his new album, Music to Be Murdered By, is arguably his best album. Arguably.
Oh, well, you're right. That is controversial. I can make an argument about Eminem show, but at the same time, it is a dope ass album. I'm not going to disagree with that.
But when you break it down, I think the lyrics in Music to Be Murdered By, it's off the charts. I mean, first of all, listening to it is one thing, but actually looking at all the lyrics and going song by song. There's a couple songs, by the way, on Music to Be Murdered By that I did not like. Wasn't because of his verses, by the way. It was because of whoever he had playing on there. But the lyrics on that album are just phenomenal. They like.
Let me ask you guys this. Oh, I'm sorry, Nick. I just cut you off. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to finish that up by saying it's basically almost bone chilling. Some of the lyrics he says, it like touches you in a way that.
Oh my God, yeah.
A lot, you know.
That's funny because what I was just literally about to say is, let me ask you guys this: if you guys heard the Darkness song on that album, and if so, how fucking deep was that?
Yeah. That's one of the songs I'm actually referring to when it comes to, the way it kind of touches you and kind of, sets the tone. It's a deep, deep song.
Yeah. What about you, John? What do you think of that?
I actually haven't heard anything off the album. The last song I heard was Godzilla because you recommended it to me. Like rap for me is really kind of a seasoning, a spice. Like it's not something I listen to regularly, which when I do listen to it, I generally do listen to Eminem because if it's something that I'm going to spend time listening to instead of something that I prefer more than rap, I want it to be, of the finest quality. But I will definitely end up checking that out.
You could not have picked a better rapper. You could not have picked a better rapper. You know what I mean? But I can name you a lot of other rappers, like not even today, but like back in the day, they give that general kind of quality. But if you've not heard Darkness, I would highly suggest that after this podcast, you listen to Darkness at least 3 times on repeat because that is like one really deep song. I mean, like M like nailed something right there, and like I, not only on the first time of me listening to it, but the second and third time I got goosebumps. And that's
if there's a song I would recommend that you listen to, it would not be Darkness. The best song on that album, in my opinion, would be No Regrets.
Oh, that's a bad song too, Nick. That's a bad song.
In my opinion, that's the best song on that album. Godzilla's a good argument because it's tongue twister, it's fast, but lyric wise, No Regrets is where it's at. So check that out.
This has got to put like cement like M's argument of being the best rapper of all time. Is John even started the conversation off of M being the best rapper of all time, and he only heard Godzilla on Music to Be Murdered By. That's it. He heard one song and he was like, "Yo, man, M's that shit." Well, you know what I mean? Like, come on, man.
I have listened to a great deal of Eminem. It's not just, I heard a couple of songs and it's like, oh my God, this dude. Like, no, I've been listening to his shit since, that's it. We fucking lived in the trailer park. Like, I am familiar with M, and that's why when it comes to when I want to hear good rap, that's why I go for him. But that's it. I know, Bone Thugs and Harmony. I know Twista. I know Mystical. I know fucking, like, I know the old dirty rap too, but it's just sort of like.
I'm sorry to cut you off, John. Go ahead. My bad. But this is one of the things in my mind that cements M is one of the greatest rappers of all time, if not the greatest. Is that you can go back to 1996, 1997, and listen to Jay-Z's opening album, and you can go back to listen to his most recent album. Basically the same. Don't get me wrong, man. I love Jigga. The guy's a killer. Metaphorically, he's one of the guys that put metaphors on the map, right along with Biggie. I'm not hating on Jay. I'm not hating on him whatsoever. What I'm saying is that M's one of the very few rappers that's been in the game that long, and it's like his rap style is completely different, but at the same time, he's still platinuming. You know what I mean? Like, you can do the same thing with Ice Cube. You can go back and listen to NWA and Ice Cube, and I do to this day, man. It's on my Pandora. I love Ice Cube. I think he's one of the most underrated rappers of all time. But I can go back and listen to one of his newest songs that just came out in the past year or so, where it's basically about the same. Same style, still spitting the same exact things. It's got different rhymes, but that's about it. M is completely fucking different. Like, you go back to fucking like 2000, you listen to that soundtrack, it's completely fucking different from Eminem show. Listen to Slim Shady LP. Then listen to Eminem show, and then listen to fucking Encore, and then listen to Music to Be Murdered By. It almost sounds like it's 3 completely different people. Like, how many rappers can say that?
Let me ask you guys this. I was having a debate on Facebook. I know, it's funny, right? You a bunch of trolls debating.
Who'd have thunk?
But anyways, I was having a debate because one of the posts when Eminem in January came out with this album, surprisingly, by the way, like out of the middle of nowhere. But when he came out with it, one of the debates on the Facebook post was why people think he's the best rapper or lyricist out. And
Talking about
one of them that disagreed with that he is the best out there had a good point, and I want to hear you guys' opinion on this.
All right.
If Eminem,
who are you talking about, though? Are you talking about M or are you talking about Jay-Z?
I'm talking about Eminem. Okay. The debate I was having, and one of the key points that one fellow made was, if Eminem was black, would we look at him the same? What is your opinion?
Yeah. Oh my goodness gracious, yeah, dude. If Eminem was black, it would be 10 times. Eminem would be Big O.
I would say,
and if you guys don't, if you or the listeners don't know who Big L is, go back and listen to Big O. That's what I got to say about that, Nick. Go ahead, John.
I don't think he would have received, I guess, as much contestation as he has during his career, but I don't think race or his race does not impact the way we see his technical ability. Like it don't matter if you're white or black when your rhyme scheme is that on point, when your musicality is that on point, when your beats are that fresh. Granted, I understand he probably doesn't do all of his beats, but I'm just saying, he's a creative. Like,
well, Dre does his beats. Dr. Dre does his beats, but
okay.
Here's the point that I'm trying to make, and this is a good point, by the way. Not that I agree, because I agree with you guys. If no matter what he would, I think he would still be labeled the best. However, would he have got as much publicity if he was? Because back then, a white rapper. Hold on, Ader. Hold on. Back then, being a white rapper, especially to the extent that people will listen, they're going to listen to you just because you're an outsider, so to speak. You're not the stereotype, the cliche rapper, you're always black or whatever. But that was a good point made, because, obviously you can never, find that out for fact, but it is a good point, and it kind of made me think, like, that could possibly be he wouldn't have got as much publicity. Back then, all your rappers throwing mixtapes at Dr. Dre and this and that, so did he have an advantage? Did he have an advantage because he was white?
No. I would say this to that guy that made this statement. If M came from New York, you could give an argument. If M came from Los Angeles, you can give an argument. M came from Detroit. Now, a lot of people throughout the country wouldn't even understand. But fortunately, me and Nick do. John, you might. I don't know if you've been through Detroit that much, but white people are hated in Detroit. We are not liked. Do you go through Detroit? We are not liked whatsoever. In fact, we get pulled over in Detroit a lot because a lot of people think we're buying drugs. For a simple fact that he's a white boy from Detroit, he had to earn the double respect out of his rhymes than he had any black dude would have. All right? If the statement that guy was making was true, proof would have been 10 times bigger than he was. Obi Trice would have been 10 times bigger than he was. Blade Icewood would have been 10 times bigger than he was. Trick would have been 10 times bigger than what he was. Well, they weren't big. Hold up, but they weren't that big. It's the simple fact is because ain't nobody really fucking cared once M came to M being a white dude and coming from Detroit made him, I think, actually made him of being the greatest, if not one of the greatest, if not the greatest rapper alive. Well, it's for the fact that he came from a place like that.
You could also argue that, without M, Proof wouldn't have been shit either way, whether it been bigger.
Hold up. You need to watch yourself some, M documentaries or hear M actually talk about it. Because it was actually proof that, showed around M to where he got to where he's at today.
I'm not debating that, but everybody knows M blew up and D12 blew up the way they did because of Eminem. I don't care what anybody says.
That's not, dude. I don't know if that's 100% true, because you're saying that if M never existed, where Proof would have rised up to where he could have, because Proof's got the rhymes, man.
I'm not
Like
saying
R.I.P. to first of all, R.I.P. to Proof, man. Like it ain't no disrespect to him, but he's got rhymes, man.
I'm not saying he
Just
doesn't.
like Obi, just like Obi.
Not saying he doesn't. All right, so that was a good discussion about this topic. Now I
Hold
do.
on, let me weigh in on that because
Go ahead, Joe.
uh, my argument is more or less the same because that's it. Okay, let us just go ahead and admit that him being a white guy entering the rap game probably put the spotlight on him a little bit more, especially when he did start turning heads. Because that's it. He was an outlier. He was not the typical case, but at the same time, just his ability and that's it. Just his ability when it comes to rapping is above reproach. And his latest albums are really, I think, more skill oriented. Like his previous albums, don't get me wrong, they were, they were definitely good. But like, I really get the feeling from his latest songs that Eminem is just flexing. He is saying, "Listen, I know I am the top of this motherfucking game, and I'ma just flaunt it."
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, you're right.
Definitely
And
agree that he is, especially with the diss tracks that he's got against MGK and Nick Cannon. I don't even know if you listen to those, John, but
I heard the ones with against MGK.
hear
That
the
wasn't even
ones
a
about
rivalry.
Nick
That was
Cannon.
a murder. That was
Hear
music.
the ones
murdered
on
by.
Nick Cannon because he hurt Nick Cannon's soul, bro.
Mark
I'm gonna have
anybody.
to
That's the
listen to
thing,
that.
man. There's a reason why, dude. This guy is straight up said P Diddy's name wrong in this song, and what has P Diddy said in response? Not a goddamn thing. That's how good of a fucking rap battler this dude is. I can name you maybe 3 rap battlers of all time that could probably battle him in a music and then like an actual song battle, and that's like it. And I'm thinking like maybe somebody like Luda or somebody like Ice Cube, and I'm thinking of like legends that
I
have to
don't
battle this
agree.
motherfucker. But we're talking about like average people. Ain't nobody wanted to battle him ever. Anyway,
I don't
you know what I mean?
think anybody, in any way, shape, or form, that Ludacris would stand mic to mic with Eminem.
Oh,
You
dude,
have a good argument with
Luda
Ice
killed,
Cube. Ice
Luda
Cube, he did.
killed T.I. with one verse.
That doesn't matter.
He
Yeah, but
killed
that
that
doesn't.
entire fucking beef with one verse, and not a single fucking famous rapper is beef with Luda since
I'll
then.
put it to you this
Luda's
way.
an underrated rapper, bro. Luda's an
Hold
underrated
on.
rapper, bro.
Hold on, Andrew. I'll put it to you this way. Luda couldn't come with one diss against Eminem because Eminem would make 4 albums dissing him. Okay?
He is a petty motherfucker.
He is persistent, and that dude will not let up until you acknowledge that he buried you. He just won't.
Yeah, that is one M's true talents. But hold up, dude. Luda fucking buried T.I. at the height of T.I.'s popularity. So don't tell me that Luda can't battle. He's one of the greats at doing it.
I never said that he can't battle. What you're doing
I
is comparing
misunderstood
apples
you,
to
man.
oranges.
My apologies.
My point
My
is,
apologies. I
you
misunderstood.
you're saying that Luda could battle M. I don't think he would stand toe to toe with him at all. Now on the same side, hold on, Andrew. Let me finish at least, please.
Who could though?
Hey,
That's
shut
my
up.
question to you though. Who could?
Let him finish.
Are you done, Andrew?
Yeah, I'm done. My apologies.
Because you've been doing this whole podcast, man. You got to let other people talk sometimes. Anyways, T.I. has never been known to be a battler. Never been known for that. So is it really safe to say that because Luda buried him on that one line, which, by the way, he really did. I mean, please stay off the TIP of my dick. That's he ruined him. And I don't mean he ruined his career, but T.I. had nothing to say after that. So, yes, he did bury him, but T.I. was never known to be more of a battler than anything. Go ahead, Andrew.
He also did it at the height of T.I.'s popularity. And also, hold up, I would like to say right now that it is not my intention to overtalk either one of you, and I apologize to you two and also the listeners. That is not my intention, so I apologize for that.
Thank you.
Okay. But also, yes, he did do it at the height of T.I.'s popularity. Like, to take a stab at T.I. like that, to stay off the TIP on my dick, like, damn. Like, you know what I mean?
It was
But anyway, I'm sorry, Nick. Go ahead.
No, I was agreeing. I was saying that definitely is ruthless. Definitely.
Anyways, we were talking about M, and like one of the things I was trying to say about M is just how versatile his game is. It's like just how many different styles this guy is putting out and killed it. Like, what other rappers do that, dude? Like, really?
I would say like M versus Luda. I do think Luda would actually stand a chance because the dude just has game, and yeah, I imagine battle rapping is a little bit of a different skill set, but at the same time, all of the fundamentals are still there. That said, I would say
Dude,
60-40 in favor of M.
I agree with you. But I was saying, like, really, what other battle rappers out there were standing a chance against them?
Hmm, I don't know. That's out of my
That's
field
a good
of
question
expertise.
because arguably Eminem's the top dog when it comes to battle rap. So it's hard to really. I would agree with you on this though, Andrew. If you had to pick somebody, Ice Cube, that would be the best compare. That would be the best compatible argument there.
Oh, who I would pick?
We wait with
Nas.
bated breath.
Right.
Nah.
Who is it?
Nas?
Nas? I agree. That's another good compatible argument. I don't think it's see Eminem. The reason why he's really good at battle rap, I mean, he has a bunch of good lines against him, of course, but it's because he's very persistent. I mean, he just won't stop. And
neither will Nas, dude. I mean, did you hear Nas has got lyrics, bro.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm not taking anything away from Nas because Nas is, I mean, especially lyrical. He's a genius. I'm not taking anything away from Nas whatsoever.
Yeah.
But again, we're talking about specifically battle rap. It's hard to say anybody would be able to step up to M because let's think about anybody that has stepped up to M and people that avoid stepping up to M because of the reason that they're either scared they'll end their career or simply they know they have no leg to stand on. I mean,
yeah. I mean, you got to look at the people he's battled, though. I mean, he's battled like what? Like Limp Bizkit, ICP, Mariah Carey, Nick Cannon, and MGK. Whoa! Has M ever really battled another person that could like rival him lyrically?
Maybe not. But you did misspeak, and then I include Benzino and Ja Rule, and there's quite a few others that are big names.
Benzino, jack off to that.
Well, I'm not saying he's any better. I'm not saying he's any better, but my point is that's a good point you bring up that he hasn't battled anybody worth to talk about, I guess. But in the same sense, you got to look at it the other way around. And nobody that is worth anything is willing to step up to battle him. These little guys are the ones doing so, and little guys, I mean, that are not.
I agree with you 100% on that statement. 100%.
I mean, for a good example, here's a good example. You said it earlier, Andrew, that he literally said P. Diddy's name wrongfully, which would think would cause an epidemic in the rap game. And P. Diddy did nothing. Now, with P. Diddy's money, he could have went and paid for any rapper to go against them. But maybe it's because he already knows that he doesn't want to tread in those waters. Maybe.
Maybe. Like, what he said towards P. Diddy was pretty fucked up.
A little bit, yeah. A little bit.
I think it might be worth pointing out that, his targets haven't actually been great competition, so to speak, but at the same time, because of how he laid into those targets, that his savagery basically scared off anybody else, any would-be assailants, if you will.
Well said, John.
I guess so, but you got to look at it as beef with Ja Rule. Is that it wasn't his beef with Ja Rule, it was 50 Cent's beef with Ja Rule, and he kind of got dragged into it. Excuse me. Kind of got dragged into it because Ja Rule was the one that mentioned Haley. And he kind of felt like he got dragged into it, and the next thing you know, Dr. Dre's into it. I kind of feel like Ja Rule just pretty much dug his own grave. Like, dude, you went and started off with beefing with just 50 Cent. Then you had to mention fucking Haley's name, and then you had to beef on Dr. Dre. Like, dude, what the fuck were you really doing? That's like me trying to get into science and, like, trying to fucking beef with fucking Neil deGrasse Tyson right off from get. You know what I mean? Like, you're just being stupid, dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That Ja Rule beef is kind of like a what would you call it? Like an offbeat kind of a thing. Like, he was destined to lose. I mean, Ja Rule was destined to lose that beef. At least in my eyes.
I agree. I definitely agree with what you're saying, Andrew, 100%. Ja Rule was set up for failure, for lack of better words.
Thank you. He found a better phrase.
So,
Yeah.
let's get off of this topic, guys, and let's kind of talk a little bit about our anticipation or expectation for how long this lockdown will last. I know it's not really affecting me as much because I have the ability to work from home, but John, is it affecting you financially, if you don't mind getting that personal with everybody?
Not quite yet. Like, I mean, yes, that's an obvious concern, especially because, like we'd only worked for about a week and a half before the lockdown went in effect in our state. But I managed to save some money. I will say one thing: Governor Whitmer, has more or less blown open ways to receive financial aid. Like, I had ran out my unemployment. They just added, I think it's up to 39 weeks now, up from 20. And she had initially raised it to 26. So, I will have some recourse there. There's the federal thing coming through, which, I mean, that's still kind of all of a shit show, but it is what it is. Um, like, I, I have enough to cover the essentials. Let's say, bills are paid. I got food, in the fridge. I got a full fridge. I got deodorant.
We were
That
all
was,
worried if you got your deodorant, by the way. We were all worried.
but like, I can't say I'm really feeling the crunch, other than, there are some things that I'd like to get. Video games in particular. I want to get Doom Eternal, but there's better uses for that $60 right now, or at least there might be in the future, and I am cautious if nothing else. So, that's it. I'm just kind of biding my time. That said, we did get told that, we're potentially back to work the 14th. Whether or not that actually happens, that remains to be seen, but it is what it
From
is.
from all experts, from what I hear, are anticipating April to be quadruple as worse as March. So,
Yeah.
if I were you, good plan on, kind of being cautious on spending money outside of the scope of your basic necessities, because it could just very well last a lot longer than that. Andrew, what about you? How's it affecting you, if you don't mind telling everybody about financials? I mean, is it hurting you financially, or?
Oh no, absolutely not. I don't mind talking about it. It is yet to hurt me financially, but at the same time, we're not really that far into it in our community. When it comes to video games, I'm kind of like spoiled because I order a lot of video games through GameFly, so I only pay monthly through there. I have a feeling that in the near future, this is going to hurt me. Like I said, for the time being, man, like all this stuff is just recently happening in our community. So right now, I'm not feeling the effects, but I guarantee you, in the next month or so, everybody in our community will.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I think, like I told you earlier, Nick, I think you're very blessed to be able to work from home and make money. Like, not all of us are like that. Like, it's just it is what it is. We just gotta kind of take it like a day at a time, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Which brings me to my point, and when it comes to my financial stability, I work in an industry, everyone, that I work with a lot of different taxpayers, and we help resolve IRS and state income taxes, and business is actually booming right now. I work telephonically, so I work over the telephone, so it's pretty simple for me to convert from the office to my home. I actually like it better. Hopefully my boss ain't listening to this. But it's not affecting me at all. In fact, I'm actually, over the last 2 weeks, and I'm sure this will decline. I'm sure it will, especially with people like yourselves. You might have savings now, and it might be easier for you right now, but no one's to say that 2 weeks from now we're still not shut down. So I do anticipate things to slow down a bit. Hopefully not, fingers crossed, everyone. But for me, financially right now, I'm actually doing very well. Very well, as in I'm not making $1 million, but I'm getting by, and I'm able to, feed my family, pay the bills, and still have a little bit of play money left over. So,
hey, it opens up a bunch of time to continue our hobbies.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've put, since this whole thing has gone on, at least in me and Nick's community down here in Florida, been able to put a bunch of fucking hours into Neo 2, and I've loved every single minute I've put into Neo 2, even though sometimes I feel like banging my head up against the wall because it's a difficult game. But also, it's made more time for me, Nick, and John to talk about this podcast, to make our logos, to talk about our interests, talk about our hobbies, and exactly what all three of us want from this podcast. And it seems to be a never-ending topic that we keep talking in circles, but I think I could speak for all three of us that we enjoy the shit out of talking in circles about this podcast.
I do enjoy it. I definitely do enjoy this podcast. It is, something we kind of it came up with an idea and it kind of fell into place quite quickly. I do want everybody to know, by the way, excuse the audio for the time being. We understand it's not the greatest. It will get better. Again, this is just the beginning of our podcast. We know we're just three average guys picking up the mic and just kind of bullshitting with everybody, but understand this will get better. Practice does make perfect, and we are going into getting, new microphones and things that will make the audio a lot better and more crisp. So just please bear with us, stick with us, and things will get better in that regard. Which leads me to another good point. John is our tech guy, so to speak. I think he has taken that role and has done quite well so far. John does all the editing. He does, all the digital. When the logo, you guys will see the logo here shortly. He's handling all the digital aspect of it. Although Andrew has come up with the exact logo per se, the dimensions of it, I guess I should say, and the categories on top of it. So John, you're doing a great job, man. Stick with us. All this will all get better pretty soon, guys.
John's a very highly talented person when it comes to things like this, and he's also a perfectionist. So that's how you get the best quality possible. Because this fucking guy really is a picky bastard.
I'm not picky. I just like good things.
Nothing wrong with that. We appreciate you, John, but you're still a picky bastard.
Well, I was about to say something like, "Oh, I got the warm fuzzies from that," but nope, you just
you ruined the moment, Andrew. You ruined the moment.
It was such a beautiful moment of caring amongst brothers, and then this asshole. Well,
hey man, it's a good thing. It's a good thing that you're a picky bastard, because if you wasn't a picky bastard, we'd be putting out bad quality, wouldn't we?
I would say that we're still kind of putting out bad quality just because that's it. We are all new at this, and nobody ever picked up something and was immediately good at it. So, yes, there will be improvements that need to be made, and I will be, at least on the technical end of things, trying to drive that as hard as I can. But yeah.
I disagree with the bad quality aspect. The quality of our podcast, I think, is terrific, but we just don't happen to have the money to sink into to be able to get good microphones and everything in the middle of a pandemic. And yeah. I really hope that the listeners understand that. And the more time that goes by, best believe we're going to have better quality for some audio coming out. And at the same time, we're expecting video at some point in time.
That is definitely in the... Sorry.
Which brings us to another kind of topic, so to speak. Maybe not topic we're going to discuss in full. But, guys, let's talk a little bit about our future episodes a little bit and some kind of, some categories we're going to do and stuff like that, so the listeners have something to look forward to. John, tell us a little bit about next episode, man. What are we doing for next episode?
Hey, the next episode's my idea, you fucker.
Oh, excuse me, Andrew. Sorry, you
hey, man,
attention. So, Andrew, go ahead. What's the next episode we're doing, please?
But it will be about conspiracy theories, and yes, it is yours truly that came up with that topic. I very much hope to dive into conspiracy theories just as an all. Just our opinions about conspiracy theories in our society. Ones that we hope that are true, but we don't necessarily think of as being true, but also ones that we do think is true. You know what I mean? Conspiracy theories really is like a diverse topic, and I have gotten into conspiracy theories ever since I've heard about Area 51 at the age of 9. So Yeah, this is an exciting topic for me. Maybe not so much for these two, but hey, I'm happy.
It is a nice topic. I agree. I'm definitely looking forward to episode 3 of the podcast, and going over different conspiracies, and especially to hear ones that you guys like per se, and kind of diving in, hearing different opinions about it, and hopefully the listeners will they'll take a liking to it, and we would love to hear from you guys regarding what you guys want to kind of hear from us, and maybe some conspiracy theories that you guys are interested in us talking about. So that'd be nice.
Hold on, Nick. I'm kind of curious myself. What are you two were expecting from the next podcast on the conspiracy theories?
I'm expecting it to go ape shit.
Eh,
Fucking A.
I'm just kidding.
How about you, John?
I find myself in a bit of an interesting position purely because most of my interaction with conspiracy theories is just kind of how bullshit they are. Uh, like there
I
isn't
hope
a
you do.
hmm?
I hope you do.
Like there isn't a conspiracy theory out there. Okay, actually, there's only one conspiracy theory out there that I believe may potentially be true, and it
David.
actually does tie into video games. Which I mean, I'll save the meat of that for next episode. But like, I find myself in the situation of, I guess. Uh, I'm gonna have to actually do some, digging to find something that I find interesting, to kind of meet the parameters that we have. Whether or not I'll be able to do that, I mean, that remains to be seen. I've still yet to get into the homework for it, but this is not something I've really covered a whole lot of or studied a whole lot of. So, I mean, hey, something new. I'm always down for that.
That is one thing I would love to point out to our listeners is that one of the very things that we want to get out of this podcast, and I'm pretty sure I can speak for both of my brothers, is that we want to learn. Both of all three of us. We want not only learn about the topic that we speak on, but we want to be able to have other people learn on the topic that we speak on. You're going to hear us come out with very diverse topics, and each one of those diverse topics that we come out about is the reason why we're doing it. Is that we're hoping that each one of us learns, and not only learn to communicate with each other, but learning the topic itself. So I just want people to know that like you're going to hear a lot of diverse things come out of this podcast, and one of the things that we're going to do about this podcast is each and every one of us are going to put in our homework. Don't think that we're just going to come out with like, hey, here's a podcast about the Big Bang Theory. I read a novelty book of the Big Bang Theory. Let's talk about it. No, each and every one of us is going to do our homework very thoroughly on each and every topic that we do. And the reason why we're doing the conspiracy theory topic, I mean, the reason why we're going to end up coming out with this conspiracy theory topic days later, which is expected to be days from now, is so that we can each three of us put our homework into this topic instead of just spontaneously doing it.
Well
I just
said,
want
Andrew.
everybody to know that.
To expand on what you said, by the way, we of course we're doing this podcast so we can open our own minds, but we're also kind of into this for everyone in general. We always want the listeners to kind of open their minds, kind of just learn, to kind of dive into it, and hopefully this kind of strikes your attention. Maybe you want to pick up a hobby or pick up a book. And by the way, Andrew makes fun of me all the time, everyone, because I don't read as much as he would like. But
Pick up a fucking book, people.
seriously, that's one of the goals of our podcast is to get everybody to open their minds as well, not just us. Bottom line.
I could not agree more, Nick. Go ahead, John.
There's another thing too. Like we also want to display, I guess, kind of uh, a good temperament for having discussion or having argument because it seems to be in social media. I mean, this is just absolutely poison, but it seems to be just kind of a way things are trending. Um, you can disagree with someone and still, give a fuck about them. You can still love them and care about them, and it doesn't have to be a major point of contention. One of the things, we really want to do is, we're gonna have disagreements. You've heard some that, when we were talking about M and shit, like we want to show that people can have different opinions, and you don't have to agree with them, but that doesn't also have to, poison your view of a person. Likewise, like a lot of arguments, it's kind of like one person says one thing, one person or the other person says, "No, you're a fucking idiot," and it don't got to be like that, dog. Just fucking.
That's so it's beautifully said, John. Like one of the things that these listeners are going to hear is me and my two brothers argue. They're going to hear me and John and Nick argue. That is for a fucking fact. You're going to hear that. And just so each and every one of you listeners know, just because I'm arguing with these cats don't mean jack shit, because I will punch you in the mouth over one of these two cats in a heartbeat. I don't care what disagreement I had with them. I have grown my entire life up with Nick. My entire life. And me and Nick have arguments each and every day, but there is nobody else in this entire world that I'd rather go digging through the trenches than Nick.
Like,
I think that is a very healthy thing for everybody to learn.
it's a good point you both bring up. Not only do we want to open everybody's minds, but we also want everybody to know that you can have a civil argument, even if it does get heated to where you tell each other "fuck off." Don't resort to insulting each other's mother and downing them as a human freaking being. I mean, John, you hit it on the nail when you said these people on social media they go just way too much into it, man. I mean, you'll say your own opinion about something and then they'll just call you a complete fucking worthless piece of shit. It's like, God damn, really? You know what I mean? But also to touch base on what yes, we are brothers. There's nobody in the world that I wouldn't go through the trenches with other than the two hosts on this podcast. So, we do love each other, but yes, we do get pissed off at each other. And, I'm very happy I can tell both of them to fuck off and we're still best friends at the end of the day.
Exactly, man. Like I think a lot of the reasons why I think this will make a good podcast for not only us, but the listeners too, is because we're three very strong opinionated people. And sometimes we have completely three different views. Now, does it make it one of us right? Not necessarily. Like, all three of us could be wrong at the same time, but we could spread views to listeners that have the right opinion. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
that makes sense.
Unless you're debating facts, there is no right or wrong. Like, the purpose. This is again more philosophical, but the way we're kind of conducting things is we're not trying to say, "Oh no, you're wrong. It's this way." Now, if we get facts wrong and somebody knows otherwise, fact checked, whatever. Yeah, okay, then there is right or wrong there. But when it comes to the expression of ideas or opinions, there is no right or wrong. There is no victory. It's just, you know, we're arguing to better ourselves, and we hope that through the process of trying to better ourselves through discussion and argument, the listeners, our audience, also is improved from it.
I do hope that, man. I really do hope it helps people to open their mind to actually do research themselves. I mean, like, when I have a standpoint, what I want from this podcast, like, my number one standpoint is for my two brothers that I'm talking to on this podcast to learn to communicate better. And my number two standpoint that I really want is that the listeners do the very same thing. Like, that's the only two things I really want from this podcast. And I hope the more we do, the more we better everybody gets better at it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Especially when it comes up to this future topic that we're coming on, conspiracy theories. Like, that's such an open topic that leads to, let's be honest, it's going to lead to an argument. There's no way that me, John, or Nick are going to have this future topic on conspiracy theories and it not lead to an argument. And the reason why I guarantee you that is because I have a lot of conspiracy theories that I personally believe in. So, an argument's going to happen, but I just hope that... Exactly, Nick. So I just hope that everybody learns to communicate with each other, man. To disagree. That it's okay. Just like the way Dave Chappelle put it. I love the way he put it. Just because I disagree with my neighbor doesn't mean I want to murder him. You know?
Depends on the neighbor. Just kidding.
I'm gonna lock my door at night now.
No comment.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm very curious on to you two guys. What conspiracy theory topics you guys would like to tackle in the future podcast that are about to happen?
I would, well, I guess go ahead and give a little bit of spoiler for next episode. There is one that I've heard about that I think might be true, but I don't know, and it's about Polybus or Polybus, and it was supposedly an arcade machine put out by the CIA that basically made people start tripping balls like they were on LSD or something. Like that's definitely
Yeah.
one that I'm gonna do some digging on.
Fucking A, man, I love it already. What about you, Nick?
Well, I
What
mean,
are some conspiracies that you would like to cover? Still there, Nick?
Nick.
one of the biggest ones that I would like to cover, and again, this is something that we're going
that
to
we
do a lot of
confused Nick
research
so
on
much,
before we
the
really pin
CIA
anything
took over
down.
his
So,
brain.
but UFO sightings, I would love to dive into that because
Are you
there's
with us?
many of them across the world that
Ruh-roh.
people
Make sure
think
you
are very
edit this shit
legit,
out.
but you can
Yeah.
whether it's photoshopped or whatever. So there's a
You
couple
there?
good ones with that, and I'll pick a couple
One
really
somewhere.
solid ones.
So
that we can
anyways,
go
we're talking
through, if that's
be sure
one
to
of the
edit this,
topics.
John, but we're talking
conspiracy
about the
theory that we do.
arcade
The
by
JFK
CIA that took over
assassination.
your brain.
That might be a good
Do
one
you
to
know
kind
what
of
I
cover.
mean by that? Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah,
That's definitely a
Polybus.
good one.
So there's a couple.
Oblivious,
I don't want to give
one
too
of
many
those.
spoilers away, and
Not that
I'm sorry
fun
for
for
the
me,
technical
but for the
difficulties,
listeners, too.
everybody. I guess I disappeared
Sorry?
for a second and came back.
Oh,
Hey,
okay.
Right.
hold that for just
I was
not
actually
only
saying
for me,
something
but for the
about
listeners too.
JFK and UFO sightings, and I had to kind of repeat it, but we apologize. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to give too many spoilers away, but just so everybody does know that this is, we are going to be doing our fair share of research. And I know John and I know Andrew, you guys are going to go into depth.
I've never even heard of that, dude. And I'm like
about these topics
balls
that
deep
we
into
used to
conspiracy
discuss.
theories. Not as bad as Eddie Bravo. I don't even have to do that much research because I already know.
It's one, or
Like,
first
I'm
one
like,
that jumped to
the
mind when
conspiracy
we all
theories,
agreed
man. I'm
to
already
do
so balls deep into
conspiracy
them. I know
theories
so
as
many
a
facts. It's
you know,
unreal.
as a future podcast.
All right. I'm also, by the way, and
So, yeah,
me
that,
personally,
like,
and
that's
I
gonna
don't
be
know the
one,
perspective
I kinda
of
focus
Andrew
on,
and
but,
John on this, honestly. But I'm really big in paranormal.
That sounds like a really
I find that
one,
very
man. That sounds like
interesting.
one that you can.
I actually believe in
Yeah, the
it.
CIA
I
agents trying to take over
wholeheartedly
people
believe
with
in it,
arcades.
so that
I
it might be
mean,
something that
balls
we touch
deep
base
into
on
that
as well,
already.
especially different experiences
it's got
that
all
have been
the
documented.
trappings of
So
a good
you never know. There might be quite a few things we get into next
conspiracy
episode.
theory. Government
Yeah, that's
involvement.
definitely been the cool thing
fucking,
about the next episode when it comes to
psychological
conspiracy
testing and
theories.
shit. Like it's
Is because
all good.
there's so many conspiracy theories that aren't even theories anymore. It's conspiracy.
Well, I
What
mean,
conspiracy conspiracies that you would like. You know what I mean? Like
one of the biggest ones that I would like to cover, and again, this is something that we're going to do a lot of research on before we really pin anything down. So, but UFO sightings, I would love to dive into that because there's many of them across the world that people think are very legit, but you can whether it's photoshopped or whatever. So there's a couple good ones with that, and I'll pick a couple really solid ones that we can go through. Close to it, I'd rather say, but theory that we do. There's many of them. JFK assassination, that might be a good one to kind of cover. The list is endless on conspiracy theories. So there's a couple. I don't want to give too many spoilers away, and sorry for the technical difficulties, everybody. I guess I disappeared for a second and came back. I was actually saying something about JFK and UFO sightings, and I had to kind of repeat it, but we apologize. But yeah, I mean, I don't want to give too many spoilers away, but just so everybody does know that this is, we are going to be doing our fair share of research, and I know John and I know Andrew, you guys are going to go into depth and detail about these topics that we used to discuss.
That's the thing about the JFK assassination. I don't even have to do that much research because I already know.
In the sense of,
like I feel when it comes to conspiracy theories, man, I'm already so balls deep into them. I know so many facts. It's unreal.
We know about them.
All right. I'm also, by the way, and me personally, and I don't know the perspective of Andrew and John on this, honestly, but I'm really big in paranormal. I find that very interesting, and I actually believe in it. do wholeheartedly believe in it, so that it might be something that we touch base on as well, especially different experiences that have been documented. So you never know. There might be quite a few things we get into next episode.
Yeah, that's definitely been the cool thing about the next episode when it comes to conspiracy theories, is because there's so many conspiracy theories that aren't even theories anymore. It's conspiracy facts. You know what I mean? Like the Bay of Pigs at one point in time was a conspiracy theory. Now it's not a conspiracy theory anymore. It's conspiracy fact.
Still very new.
You know what I mean? And
There's been quite a few that has been.
when it comes to our next podcast, we really are very new at this. We're still trying to figure things out. Like we have ideas to where we want to stick to a topic.
We all known as conspiracy theories and have been since proven fact or
that we can be
close to it. I'd rather say, but there's many of them. I mean, Bigfoot, Loch Ness monster. I mean, there's
one of us.
The list is endless on conspiracy theories, and
just for instance,
it should be a very good episode.
Whatever, and for sure. One of us trying to defend it while the other two always trying to pick it apart. Us three fuckers, huh? To make that idea validated. We're not 100% on that one, but that could be an idea that what we do for a future podcast. We are each of us learning as we go along.
You know what
I mean? Like this is all new to us.
Necessarily topics, but also how.
And each of us are trying to learn to communicate as we go along.
And
so
that sounds like
I dive it on.
That's going to be very kind of. Just to borrow the term, university-like, like in the sense of I'm like Andrew, like closing that saying, you're balls deep in this already.
No,
me and Nick, we have a lot of
about
them. We probably know about a couple, but we've never done like the nitty-gritty on them. We do hope that it's entertaining. You'll be a bit more of the authority on that, and kind of trade off, poking holes. We hope it's a learning experience shit about that. And maybe that's it. One of the one style we've got is that it's just that said. Thank you very much for listening. We're gonna have some that are a little more laser focused. Just sort of the freeze. We're gonna talk about this one thing. One person's gonna be kind of the leader on it. I hope y'all have a good night. Other two will ask questions about it. Poke holes, so on and that. Or we could say, hey, we're gonna talk about this. All we got. And
be safe, everyone.
Not talk about it for the rest of the entire run of the podcast. That's it. We are still very new at this, and
we really are very new at this. We're still trying to figure things out. Like we have ideas to where we want to stick to a topic and do it for like hour and a half, 2 hours, and we also have topics that we can be loose on. One idea that we are spitting around there in like actual life that we've been talking about is maybe one of us choosing a topic, just for instance, conspiracy theories or whatever, and one of us trying to defend it while the other two try to pick it apart to make that idea validated. We're not 100% on that one, but that could be an idea that what we do for a future podcast. We are each of us learning as we go along. You know what I mean? Like, this is all new to us. And each of us are trying to learn to communicate as we go along. So, I dive it on to John.
Well, oh God. Stage fright. I'm supposed to be closing now. But no, honestly, that's it. We have a lot of different ideas floating around. We have a lot of different things that we want to try out and do. We do hope that it's entertaining for you guys. That's a this is a learning experience for us. We hope it's a learning experience for you too. And maybe we'll we'll be able to give you some more peeks behind the curtain and stuff like that. That said, thank you very much for listening. This has been JNA Podcast. Oh God, the freeze, the choke.
Take care, everybody.
But again, thank you guys for listening. I hope y'all have a good night Yes, a good night. It's Freudian, and be kind to each other because this is all we got.
Be safe, everyone.
And cut.